All right. Well, today I wanted to talk about a sub 5 male that I knew from work that got reported to HR for harassment. For context, this guy that I worked with was about 5'6". He was completely bald and very overweight, to put it lightly. Being 5'6", he was probably in the mid 200s, maybe getting closer to 270, just for context. He also had a fully grown beard. He wasn't necessarily ugly, just kind of like average looking in the face. What made him sub 5 was the fact that he was shorter. He was very overweight and he was completely bald. Just all around, just tough hand. Honestly, I thought he was a pretty nice guy. He definitely did like to joke around a lot, and he was overall just pretty misunderstood for the most part, I think. I worked with him in a corporate office setting. He sat a few seats away from me, so I kind of saw the things he would do, saw how he acted in the office. And overall, I think he was really just misunderstood because of his lack of attractiveness. So there was a girl that sat not too far from me as well. They sat pretty close to each other. She was a fairly attractive blonde. She was around 5'7". She had blue eyes. She was slim. And overall, she had an above average looking face. I would say she would be roughly about a 7.5 on the 10 scale. Like I said, this guy joked around a lot. He joked around with like everyone, not just girls, but with like guys. And he would just go around, just joking around. I think he had like a book that said that was like 100 dad jokes. He would just like walk around during his breaks and like tell people jokes. And, he was just like overall like a funny go lucky kind of person. And I would hear him saying to the blonde girl a few times a week, he would be like, "Wow, you look really nice." To him, I don't think this is a big deal. I think he was just, like I said, a kind of like a go lucky kind of person. So the one time I heard him say to her, "Hey, wow, you have like really nice posture." And it was funny because like he would say some things that were kind of like off the cusp for like the office setting, like something he'd say some things like that where you're like, definitely weren't like harassment, but they were kind of like, why would you say something like that? You're just kind of asking for it. You're asking to be misconstrued, but like genuinely, as far as I could see and as far as I interacted with him, like I said, he'd come up to me and like we joke around about sports and all sorts of stuff, and he just loved to rag on people. That's just kind of how he was. But overall, a nice guy to talk to, and at least I thought so. So it was interesting. But the one day she walked up to my desk, like I said, I was cool with her. I was cool with both of them, and she said to me, she's like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, what's up?" And she said like, let's go downstairs. Like, I just really need to talk. So I was like, okay, like I wonder what this is gonna be about. Like, I wasn't really sure. And then once we were downstairs, she kind of opened up and she told me that she was really creeped out by him and by the things he was saying to her. So I asked her, I was like, like what stuff, was he saying to you? And like what's going on? And she told me that, she was saying like, every day when I get in, he says hi in just like a really weird way. And, he tells me that like I look nice every day, and it makes me really uncomfortable. And this was the type of girl that would like, sometimes she'd wear like a blazer, sometimes she would wear like a certain outfit. I would never, in a corporate office setting, I would never tell a girl that she looks nice. But like for him, like I legitimately think he was just, he was just someone who gave compliments to people. If I was wearing a nice jacket or wearing a nice shirt, he'd be like, "Yo, that's a really nice shirt, man." Like that was just his personality. But she basically just told me that, the things that he's saying like are really making her uncomfortable. And I kind of felt it. I was like, wow, like I could see it in her eyes. Like she really felt like creeped out, and she felt like very uncomfortable by him. And she asked me like what she should do. And I was really conflicted because I was like, well, so I told her, I was like, look, I think he's just like a really nice guy. I don't think he means anything by it. I think he likes to joke around. So I told her like, hey, I'm happy to talk to him. Like, but I really didn't want to get involved, to be honest. Like I try to stay out of any sort of like, workplace drama or anything like that. But, I told her, I was like, hey, I think you should just talk to him in private and just tell him, hey, I'm not comfortable with the things that you're saying, and could you please stop? Yeah, she basically just told me like, he says hi to her and says that she looks nice. I mean, it's, I don't know. Like I said, I would never say something like that in the office. Most guys wouldn't, because, it's just, you got to be really professional, especially in corporate America. You can't say something that could be misconstrued. But this was just kind of his personality. He didn't, he just kind of went around and joked around with everyone. Unfortunately, when you're considered conventionally physically unattractive, you really can't do that stuff, because everything that you do kind of comes off in a bad negative light, as opposed to if he were 6'4", he had a chiseled jawline, he was, in shape. Obviously, he could say those things and the women wouldn't have a problem with it. But the fact that he, being 5'6", being completely bald and very overweight, it's just a horrible combination for getting reported to HR, which I'm gonna get into. And I basically told her to be upfront, because I told her this for a couple of reasons, because I did feel bad that she felt uncomfortable around him, and but I also didn't want this guy to get in trouble. Like, knowing him fairly well, he wasn't meaning to be, I don't think it was his intention to make girls uncomfortable. So I told her, just be upfront about it, and just let him know, and tell him to stop. And that's what I thought was going to happen. That she was just going to tell him, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, and he stops, and it's all good to go. A few days later, he wasn't there for a couple days, and a couple of the other girls in the office, I kind of sat near some of them. They were I kind of overheard them saying that he was, how creepy he was, and that the one girl was like, yeah, he says hi to me in a really weird way. And like, I've seen him say hi to all of them and like everyone in the office, and it's pretty similar way. Like, he'll walk by me and be like, hey, what up, bro, how you doing? And then he'll say to like the girls, hey, what up, girl, how you doing? Like, he was just like a very like chill, like go lucky kind of guy, but I guess even something like that, like, oh, what's up, girl, or what's up, girl, you're looking nice today, he was genuinely joking around about that. Because of his physical appearance, it just came off in a very, very negative light, and made a lot of the women uncomfortable there, and he gave off a very creepy vibe to them. It was tough, but a few days after this, I see him in the hallway, and he says to me, he's like, he was distraught. Like, I could tell, like, visually on his face, like, this guy was distraught, because he was out of the office for 4 days, like 4 business days. And he's like, dude, like, can I talk to you? Like, let's get lunch today. I gotta tell you some stuff. I didn't know, like, at this point, I didn't know he was reported to HR. Yeah, I met up with him for lunch, and, he told me, he's like, dude, like, I got called down to HR, like, last week, and, like, I don't know what to do, man. Like, HR was telling me that I'm making women uncomfortable, and, I like, you see, how I am. Like, I don't try to make anyone uncomfortable. And I told him, I was like, yeah, man, like, you got to really watch what you do, and, in an office setting, because like you say certain things that can come off in the wrong way. I don't know, man. Like, I genuinely felt bad for the guy, because I knowing him, like, he didn't mean to come off creepy or make women uncomfortable. It's just the unfortunate aspect of his below average looks, made him out to be, creepy. He was kind of the victim of the Phalo effect, to be honest. And that's really all there was to it. Yeah, it was just tough. He was very, very distraught. Luckily, he ended up keeping his job, but it definitely got awkward for him, because about a week after that, they actually shifted around the desks, and they actually put him like far away from all the girls in the office. And at this time, this was like a fairly young group. It was like a younger department. There was a lot more like younger people there, and like they put him on the other side. Like, he wasn't near any women for weeks. Like, I would just, like I said, I was cool with everybody in this department, and every time I got lunch with these girls, they would just constantly say how creepy he is, how weird he is, how he says hi to them in the hallway, and they're just like spooked out. And it was just really tough, because like, he basically, and then over the next couple months, like, he would come into work and he would just sit at his desk all day, and like he wouldn't like really talk to anyone. Like before, he was a very like outgoing, easygoing. He would love to joke around. He would like make his way around to everybody. That's just kind of how he was, man. And it was just tough to see. And then he would just come into work, put his head down, like do his job, and then a few months later, like he ended up quitting. And I remember he told me when he quit, like he was like, yeah, man, like I just don't enjoy work anymore. Like I feel like I screwed up my entire career. Like I didn't mean to come off that way. And I really think, especially in a corporate setting, and especially as like someone who's conventionally unattractive, like a sub 5 male, you have to approach the corporate world a little bit differently. Like you have to go in and try to just be as professional as possible, kind of put your head down, be polite, be cordial to people. To be honest, just try not to joke around with women in the office as a sub 5 male, because it can definitely come back to haunt you. Even average looking guys, like I wouldn't, to anyone, to be honest, in the corporate setting, I think you should always avoid saying phrases like "you look nice today," or the things he said. Like I said, "You have not really nice posture." Like those types of things, like you want to avoid, even as like an average looking guy, a good looking guy. You'll get away with it as a good looking guy saying those things. Like it's not gonna come off creepy to them, but still, like in a corporate office setting, you have to be very, very careful. But if you're someone who's short, fat, and bald, and you're saying some of these things that are kind of questionable, like you're just kind of asking to get reported to HR. And that's just the way it is, man. I don't know what to tell you, but I felt bad for him, man, because, he had a pretty good job at one point, working at this company. And then, after that, he ended up working in construction as like a laborer. I remember like looking him up on social media like about a year ago. Just doesn't look like he's doing well. Like I think he has some sort of a construction job, but I think he's in his like mid to late 30s now. Yeah, like I said, he worked in a good stable career for a long while. He was making good money, and when this happened, it kind of screwed up his career at this company, and he ended up moving to construction. And I don't think he's probably not making good money. He's probably struggling, and probably looks back and realizes like, hey, I should have been joking around in the office, so it's just tough. But that's the biggest advice I would give to someone who's conventionally unattractive, especially if they work in the corporate world. Just go in, put your head down, and just work hard, be polite, be cordial, but just try not to joke around with women in the office, man. It'll haunt you. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to comment down below any work stories you have, and feel free to subscribe. Until next time, take care.